Так, друзья, теперь мы наконец-то можем приступить к геншиновому Симсу. Но нам нужно выполнить задание, поэтому давайте выполним задание, посмотрим первый взгляд на новые механики.
Let's play!
Ah, children, come.
Oh, what is it, Granny? Need any help?
Oh, no. You've done so much for Leah. In fact, my old friends and I have been putting our heads together to think of what sort of gift.
A gift? For Paimon?
Oh, child, you are so very modest. Uncommonly so, even. When you traversed my old teapot in search of the cleansing bell, I heard your little friend mention that you are... That simply won't do. Especially since fortunately, I have not yet grown so old as to see my subspace creation ability. Oh, did my friends never mention that to you? Well then, I will not go into too much detail, but subspace creation is the teapot that you entered previously was a little trinket created using that ability.
So, in the eyes of an adeptus, creating a...
Oh, indeed, the teapot is nothing to boast of. One such as myself must depart from this realm to create a world of one's own. Rex Lapis, on the other hand, moved but that's enough nostalgia for now. The gift that I have prepared for you just requires a few final
That's right! Finding stuff's what we're good at, after all.
Oh, settle down now, children. There's no need for you to go. What's more, I doubt that you would know how to find the materials I am searching for. Some of them are, well, for starters, I require some shimmer soil from the banks of Dihua Marsh. Back in the day, it could only be found where the glazed lilies thrived most profuse. You would have to dig downward, following the roots of the glazed lilies. And if you were lucky enough, you just might find us. But almost no one has been able to find shimmer soil in this manner since Dihua Marsh came to be the way it is. Even more difficult to find is smaragdus jadeite, which must be chiseled from the rock of the chasm. Or so it used to be. Ever since the Black Cliff. In any case, smaragdus jadeite is an adepti treasure, and the adeptal power within is not something that most humans can withstand. Goodness knows if that child will succeed in
Well, since you're an adeptus, Granny...
Yes, I suppose she does count.
She counts? How come there are so many adepti in Liyue Harbor? We seem to bump into them all the time.
Oh, maybe so. Who can say? A fair few of my old...
I'm back, Granny. Oh, I don't believe we've met.
Allow me to do the honors. This child, Yanfei, I believe you already heard of the traveler and his traveling companion.
Of course, who hasn't? Much has been written about you in the Millilith's records. You became one of Liyue's most wanted after the Millilith marked you as a suspect following the incident at the Rite of Dissension. After which, you fought off the Millilith at Julian Karst and made contact with the Fatui. Before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion by the Chiseng. What a shame. A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately, but it certainly would have been less, embarrassing for you. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yenfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal problem? You can come right to me. Oh, yes, here's my business card. You'll find it has my contact details and office address. Keep it handy. If you have an urgent issue, just leave me a note at this address. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I offer a very generous discount for first-time customers.
All right, Yenfei, all right. Let's get to the business at hand. I do not think these two are in any... You'll have to excuse Yenfei. She's always been like this. Ever the talkative one when it comes...
Paimon was gonna ask the same question. You seem real...
An Adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time, and then after that was all over, he went back and they had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving me with Granny here.
Well, that's a bit casual for an Adeptus. Aren't you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts to protect Liyue Harbor and all that stuff? What do you mean he just went back to get married?
Well, my dad did say that he'd talked it through with Rex Lapis and that he was fine with it. Even contributed towards the wedding gift, apparently. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, Granny, I've gotten a hold of most of the stuff you asked for, except for Smaragdus Jadeite. I couldn't find any at all. The chasm's been sealed off, and there's just no way in. Couldn't secure any documentation either. Looks like the Ministry of Civil Affairs is serious about keeping...
Is that so? Yenfei, are you sure you can't find some other way? They have helped Liyue a great...
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still a chance we can figure out... Hold on a moment.
Whoa, that's a really thick book. What kind of things do you write in there?
Commercial consultancy. Or Snezhnaya. Ah, found him. Krusel. A Snezhnayan merchant who once came to me with some legal queries on certain articles. He mentioned that he was considering acquiring some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal ramifications that he should be aware of. So, I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck, he'll have gotten his hands on some Smaragdus Jadeite. Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just stand by and watch. If you try to get involved, you'll only risk placing yourself in legal jeopardy.
Wow, an Adeptus imploring us to avoid incurring legal liability. Well, that's a first for sure. Best we be a little more careful than usual while we're with her.
Hello, Mr. Krusel. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yenfei.
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe...
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end I did acquire a small piece of Smaragdus Jadeite. And Miss Yenfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize, I've already rented them out to a lady named Zhiqiao. If you'd like...
Wait, isn't Smaragdus Jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting damaged or lost?
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full original value. In return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus Jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by me to Miss Zhiqiao in the event that it is shown to be a fake.
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false. Yes, these terms are very clear indeed.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need.
In that case, might you know where Miss Zhiqiao lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have...
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Krusel. We'll be off now. Brace yourselves.
Oh, whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me. Is there
How do you do, Monsieur Chow? We understand from my associates and I are very...
the hairpins? I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value, there's no way I could... My family is in the ore business too, but business has been suffering ever since the chasm was sealed. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase some stock from other ore merchants to complete. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to mingle and discuss prices. That's what the hairpins were for, to keep up appearances. But now that I've lost the hairpins...
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of déjà vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Monsieur Chow.
Huh? Well, I mean...
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help Juchao somehow. True. Though surely there must be a win-win.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crosso the original value. Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take current market prices, and given the rarity of Smaragdus jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation...
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Juchao looks like...
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpins.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost. Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding those hairpins.
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check...
Please. Please, Don't trouble yourselves over this. The fact is, I lost the item, and however much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossel in the dark any longer.
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about the hairpins. So hold on a moment, Mr. Chow. When you first touched the hairpins...
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstone... My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the...
Smooth to the touch. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things.
You can't beat the atmosphere here in Liyue.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Juchao. You lost them? Are you serious?
I'm sorry. Truly I am.
Mora? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my... I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back.
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes. And if I may, it was in fact genuine Smaragdus jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course. Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10...
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow and
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins?
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk and...
Miss Yanfei, what is this about? Are you...
No. What I wanted to talk about is, There is a chance that the Orin laid on those hairpins?
What do you mean?
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless. I don't know if Granny told you this, but Smaragdus jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elements. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell?
No, not at all.
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that if I've deduced correctly, he may still have the Smaragdus
If that's the case, we should go confront him.
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. Eventually, and then he'd throw the Smaragdus jadeite into the sea the moment we were. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hairpins do actually still.
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experience talking.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one way of resolving them. Fortunately.
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with problems like this...
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow.
Huh? Does there have to be a contract for everything? It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than...
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written contract. Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will...
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now, and I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink pad to make a handprint over here.
This contract has so many pages.
All right, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in the contract. Have a look.
I've had a read through. Everything checks.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, it will actually be quite straightforward. I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before, in which case, hopefully this should be quite...
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask, why are you...
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some Smaragdus jadeite myself. I noticed strong traces of... Whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter. But either way, it's a lead. As long as we follow it, also, the idea of someone abusing the law to their advantage, I won't stand for it. But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... Where can we... I've got it! Let's pay a visit to Chateau. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his...
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome to... Surely not more spurious claim...
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnayan merchant named Crossell enlisted your ore processing
A Snezhnayan I do remember that. That was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really Smaragdus jadeite or not. But if he was quite generous with his money, too, so I didn't give it too much...
Do you have any leftover
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so...
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
Try your luck betting on Jade?
Jade.
Huh? If my eyes don't deceive me, yes. It's not particularly rare, nor is it especially valuable. I've heard it said that Smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite, though no one's ever proven it.
A thin layer of separation, huh?
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy.
Is that so? So, did you find anything? So they really are different. But wait, how come Juchao was able to tell what it was just by looking at the shards?
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great many of these in my time. These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to tell them apart. There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that translates, and I'm sure, a significant difference in the cost of.
All right, let's focus up. We're going off on a tangent.
But never mind, Shirto. Why would Mr. Crossell?
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's take some of these
Try your luck betting on Jade?
Miss Yenfei?
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed claim that the ore he brought to your store.
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record and the...
Of course.
Oh, I have my reasons. Ah, yes. Please sign here on this affidavit. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the...
Yes, I see. Forgive me for
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir. I'll take these with me.
With this hard evidence to back us up, Crossell won't dare try to deny what he did.
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient to build a case. If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry. Nope. Aha! Got it! Sinxie. She often helps people to find a jewelsmith. Let's go pay her.
Well, that was quick. How come you know so many?
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contracts, but the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. How can I put this? It just seems like they're hard to understand. As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular service indeed.
So you help them make sense of the law. But didn't you say that it's hard to...
Yes, well, that's no obstacle because I've memorized all the legal codices.
You memorized them?
You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a legal advisor's bread and butter, you know? Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like reading things.
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's go look for Sinxie.
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something happened?
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, of course. Has a merchant by the name of Crossell asked you to put him in contact with...
Crossell. Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snip. The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find someone who was up to the job. Eventually, I found an old... This order was on hold for a very long time, and only completed quite recently.
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be...
Miss Sinxie, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossell commissioned you to find him a jewelsmith, did he or did he not assert that the material...
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to put this transaction on record with the Ministry of Civil... Mr. Crossell wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I filed it on his behalf. I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself, the item is called Smaragdus Jadeite Twin Phoenix Pins. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite. The document even has the official seal of the Ministry on it.
Thank you, Sinxie. Now, could you...
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway. I take it then that...
Nothing you need to worry about, just a minor issue. I'll return your document as soon as I'm done with it. Thanks again.
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone or something is in trouble?
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need. We just need to make one last trip. Let's go to...
The weirdo with the snake around his neck?
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that Smaragdus Jadeite is... Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands, we...
О! Будущий дендротип. Стоп, здесь было больше лотосов. Что пропускаю? Странно. Как-то больше их, не знаю.
Please, show me your prescription.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our... And if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well. Now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here, might I?
No. I'm here this time to ask if...
Smaragdus jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th... The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains, and will... It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality and their... Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific nature of your question, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the...
That is indeed the case. If you would be...
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for Smaragdus jadeite recently. But after I gave him my reply, I wonder, Miss Yenfei, if your pressing business might be related...
You needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baizhu. Thank you for penning us that document. I'll make sure to compensate...
You're too kind.
That Baizhu guy is as weird
Please,
as ever.
show me your prescription.
Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossel.
I can't read what this says.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a...
Yes, my investigation is indeed
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you...
Of course. Mr. Crossel, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her?
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Chow was, in fact, Smaragdus nephrite. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly...
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you can... I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is...
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner, Chateau.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between smaragdus jadeite and smaragdus nephrite. How does this prove it? In any case, smaragdus nephrite is the outer layer of smaragdus jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite. He returned the valuable jadeite core.
That's an unsubstantiated
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we all...
Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all.
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have just the thing. Show.
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all. It shows that the ore inlay...
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either. And this guy's getting more...
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the hairpins are...
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shown supports my story.
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence. Traveler, would you do the honors? This shall serve as decisive proof of our case.
What's this?
Smaragdus jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals. Sustained contact with Smaragdus jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that, however, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient considering that, as you say, you were ignorant of the danger you posed. Don't worry, Mr. Crossell. I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will be handed over to the Ministry. I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear, Mr. Crossell.
Huh? No,
Aren't actually inlaid with genuine smaragd. You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Mr. Chow 10 times. Mr. Crossell, your answer, please.
He's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. But I'm a victim in all of this too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of smaragdus jadeite. But after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that this sort of stone cannot be worn as... That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from smaragdus nephrite. I kept the real smaragdus jadeite in a specially made box. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off, Jiqiao lost the hairpins after I rented them out to her.
Exactly! If they weren't the real deal, why...
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching closely to see how much I could make off it. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then my days in this line...
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my...
10 times.
Croso looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Mr. Chow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that smaragdus jadeite.
There's no need. It's even if the smaragdus jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them.
Ms. Jiqiao...
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of smaragdus jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead?
What? But all right then.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn this smaragdus
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this...
Well
then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claim...
Is that so?
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business, and we have a fair stock of fine ore. If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ores, I think we could do some
let me think for a moment.
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus Jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the even though the solution...
The right solution depends on your perspective on the problem. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, proving that the rented item was nowhere near worth what the vendor had claimed it to be was the more efficient Adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs adeptal powers?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet...
Ah, you've returned. Good, good.
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of...
Oh, you. All right, then. Go see to your business.
I'm off then. Bye! Oh, yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me directly. Regulars get
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have...
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Her father was hardly so riotous. Indeed she is. Li Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the most Liyue is not the same place. All right, then. Let us speak of this no more. Back on top.
Oh, Paimon's so excited! How is it made?
It is but a single teapot. It shan't take long. There we go. This Serenity pot. Hold it firmly. If you were to drop it, take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need them if you wish to make your teapot a little more...
Wait a minute, Granny! How exactly are we supposed to use this teapot?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I've already arranged for a...
Так, друзья. Какие-то уже рецептики есть. Так, стоп, а у меня ж было, типа... Вот, например... Это понятно. Ага. Войдите в чат. Чайник безмятежности. Изумрудный пинг. Острая прохлада. Плавучее обитие. Ну, оно все замкнуто.
Wow! This teapot seems even bigger inside than Madame Ping's! There's even a great big house in the middle, too! Huh. But there's just a whole load of nothing around it. Paimon can't do that! Well, you're the one with the sword anyway. You do it! Still, why is it so empty here apart? Oh, wait a second. What is that?
Well, it seems that we have a visitor.
It's a huge finch!
Finch.
Excuse me, I am not a finch. I am a teapot spirit, and, hang on a moment. What am I supposed to be called? Oh, call me. I suppose you may call me Tubby.
Tabby. Tabby.
So you're the little helper Madame Ping mentioned?
Madam Ping? Oh, you must mean Ping. You may leave all matters regarding the upkeep of your journey may be far from over. But at least this way, you will not want for a comfortable place to sleep. Though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, they generally do not have the time of day to attend to the banal matter of their maintenance. Thus, we teapot spirits were created to help guard them. You may consider me a butler. Now, allow me to explain this realm to you. Have you any blueprints on you? Specifically, blueprints with beautiful rooms. As long as you have a blueprint, you can refashion this realm however you please.
Blueprints? Oh, that's right! Granny handed us some when she gave us the tea.
Yes, these are the blueprints I'm talking about. Just commit the image of the objects to memory and prepare the necessary materials. Then simply release the thought from your mind and the object in the blueprint shall appear within this teapot.
Wow! Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city inside, couldn't we?
I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus explained, he said, that even though subspace creation is a product of adeptal power, even that has this world is not a true one after all. It provides merely a moment of brief respite from the mortal realm.
A golden-eyed adeptus? Paimon wonders who could that be?
I hardly remember myself. What's more, I have never seen that adeptus again since. Well, let's not dwell on that. Have a look around. Best you if there's anything you would like to add. Right now, I wish I was sitting at the top of a tree, looking out over a meadow, cider in hand.
Зур приехал. Так.
Maybe you're not used to the place at the moment, but once you've materialized enough rooms and furniture...
Доверие 1.
Maybe you're not...
Угу. 4, да, создадим. Ого, долго. А что получить? Так, хорошо. Ага. Та-та-та-ра-танц. Синее. Это что? Это песчаное дерево? Пихта. Так. Блин, шелковицы я не насобирал. Ясно. Ясненько. 50. 110. Ага, мятка. 50.
Wouldn't gliding be faster?
Так, какая-то область там расширяется. Да, это только дом или есть какие-то на улице? Фишечки тоже, да, есть? Ясно.
Wouldn't gliding be faster?
Ну, прикольно, прикольно. Так, давайте ускорим эту фишечку. Давайте ускорим эту фишечку. А, все, оно сразу типа. Я понял. Ладно. Ладно, я понял.
Maybe you're...
Изготовить сокровищницу. Угу. Переходная смола. Угу. Interesting. Ого. Да тут замечательно просто. Все. Просто надо валюту хоботить. Давайте поставим что-то. Вот, например, мы прочитали это все, да? Ага. Да. И что с ним делать? Как его поставить? Вау. Ага. А, это оно и стоит, да? Ага. А у меня ж и были, есть еще всякие там... А, это, я понял, все остальное в доме делается. Я понял. Прикольно.
Wouldn't gliding be
Смотрим. В доме. Можно что-то? Печь поставить сюда, да, получается? Печь. Украшения. Делябры. Не, отмена. Ну, прикольно. Короче, такие дела, друзья. Будем висеть.